Hello, hello. Good to see you all. We're doing this simultaneously on YouTube and on Instagram. So it's wonderful to have you here. I'm very happy, very thrilled to see people who are already online and the ones who are going to watch the recording. I just want to say thank you for your beautiful presences. And tonight we're going to talk about something that's really powerful. It actually could very easily be one of the backbones of my work with energy healing, which is the very question, right, that everybody asks. Why does energy healing work well for some people and not for others? Why does that happen? And there are many reasons for that, but the underlying cause is resistance. There are many types of resistance, and we're going to pinpoint the most common ones that I tend to see in my work and in my observations, not just with my own experience, but with many other energy healing practitioners too. So what I believe is a good image to start with, and really, if you are an energy healing lover, if you are an energy healing practitioner, whatever it is that draws you to energy healing, this is going to be very useful. Because the way I see this is the image that I want you to grasp, is that energy healing is like seeds, beautiful seeds. I've always called the Cardinal Method, because of the crystals, I call the crystals seeds of love, right? This is my heartfelt nickname for the Cardinal Method crystals. I think it's the first time I say this publicly. I say this to a few experts, some people in my masterminds, but first time I say this in public. So with the Cardinal Method of Life Connection, every crystal, every spiritual jewelry, right? The birth chart bracelets, everything, the sessions, the constellations, they are all seeds of love, and they're powerful. I will tell you this, crystals are powerful as they are because they just bring a high vibrational frequency to whichever environment they're in. That's just crystal nature. If it's a Cardinal Method crystal, it's 10 times stronger because it is aligned with a specific mindset. It's aligned with a method, with intention, which is one of the reasons why energy healing can work so well. Practitioner intention, practitioner focus is a huge part of the whole story. And what happens is that the seeds, which are the energy healing sessions, right? Or the Cardinal Method crystal, the Cardinal Method session, whatever it is, any other energy healing session with other modalities that are so beautiful. I'm certified in very powerful modalities that I love and use daily. So let's just see energy healing as seeds, okay? Seeds of love. Seeds need soil to grow and flourish, right? And continue life, create leaves and flowers and fruits and new seeds, right? What happens is that if those seeds do not fall on fertile soil, nothing's going to happen. So the reason why, the first answer I can give you right off the bat, to be very honest, it's not my job to sugarcoat things, I believe. Part of my mission is to say the truth straightforward with love and kindness, but with assertiveness, because I think this is what heals, what helps awaken consciousness and do something about your life if it's not going the way you want it to. So the people who receive this session, so the seeds are the sessions which include the crystals in a Cardinal Method, the power animals, the practitioner who's there with his or her beautiful, pure mind, beautiful, pure presence and intention to help you heal. But if the person who's receiving the healing is not fertile soil, and I'm going to talk about the soils, the different types of soils here, it's not going to work, period. Okay, so just keep this image in mind. Energy healing consists of beautiful seeds of love. However, if they do not fall in appropriate soil, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. So some people are powerful, beautiful, lush, nurturing, amazing soil for energy healing. So things just flow with them, not only in the process of receiving the sessions, but also after the session is over, which is what really matters, right? You want the results, you want to see the shifts. Some people skyrocket with the changes that are made with one single session, or maybe 3 sessions, or I don't know, maybe 5. Some people stall. Some people have minor shifts. Some people have temporary, non-lasting shifts. Some people just have 0 shifts. And the reason is the quality of that soil. I don't want to offend anybody, okay? We are responsible for the quality of the soil we turn out to be, the soils we make ourselves. And this is where it starts to get interesting, because when we talk about the soil, I want to bring up 4 types of soil, 4 types of energy that allow energy healing to work beautifully or to simply not work at all, which just perpetuates this dismissive context, mentality, pattern of thinking of disbelief, right? Which contributes to the disqualification of energy healing as a whole. So the first type of soil that I would bring up, that I want to bring up here, is conscious acceptance of energy healing. So let's just think of our minds as the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, which includes the subconscious. There are layers in the unconscious mind. I don't want to make this too complicated, but let's just look at this energy of the conscious acceptance. We have the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, okay? Some people will come for an energy healing session, will be open to an energy healing session. That's called conscious acceptance. That's a good first step. These are the people who book their sessions, who want to make, an appointment, and they want to make a difference in their lives, and they're consciously willing to accept the healing, okay? That's conscious acceptance. There is a second type of person who consciously denies energy healing and then forget it. That's one of the reasons why I tell people, some people come to me and say, I so wish this person would come to you to have a session, but they hate energy healing. They think it's all woo. They think it's all scam. They think that these are scam artists, this and that. And I say, don't waste your time with them. Don't force energy healing in conscious denial mode people. They just don't want it. And I am always open to change. I think things can shift. I'm not one to write things on stone. It's going to be 6 years that I'm in this energy healing career, solidly, full-time, dedicated, move to another country just to do this, immerse myself and change careers and all. And it's going to be 6 years in December. So in my experience, this always happens. People who give sessions as gifts, who buy gift certificates for people to come see me for sessions. What happens is that the people who receive the energy healing gift, I think maybe unconsciously, they think that it's kind of offensive. They're saying, okay, you're telling me that I'm messed up. So you're giving me healing, which is something that should come from me, not from you. You should not be rubbing this on my face. It can be a little offensive to people. I have noticed this. Doesn't mean I don't sell gift certificates, because I'm still observing. As I said, I don't write things on stone. But what happens on a practical level is that the people who receive the energy healing gifts rarely show up. So most of them do not ever show their faces, and I don't even know who they are. They just allow the gift certificate to expire and do not show up. Other people will take forever. They'll wait until the 11th hour, the last minute, when the gift certificate is expiring to show up. They show up once and they leave. They don't want someone to impose healing on them. And rarely do people who receive the gift come and enjoy it and love it. And the reason why that happens is because they already know me. They have had their sessions before. So it's friends who come to Renova, who come to me. So the friend just knows, like when you know your friend likes this specific perfume, and you know it's going to be a no-brainer because you know the person's gonna like it because you know the person's taste. The person has gone through that experience. You're not the one breaking, the ice there. Okay. So conscious denial is just simply a no to energy healing and do not force it. I don't preach, it's like preaching meat eating to vegetarians. You know what I mean? You don't force this kind of thing. I do not talk to people who don't believe in energy healing. I don't waste my time. They need to want it. I have offered a lot. This has come from my own experience. In the beginning, all I wanted to do was help people heal and offer healing and tell them, oh, you're going through some sort of trouble. Let me help you. Energy healing this, energy healing that, cardinal method, this or that. It was so annoying. I was one of the most annoying people I have ever been in touch with in the beginning of my energy healing career. People don't want to hear it, you know? So you just do your own thing and allow them to see this in impersonal spaces like social media, or you give them your card if they ask what they do. Just tell them what your website is. Keep doing your YouTube videos or whatever it is that you use to let people know what you're doing, right? Market your work. But if you know someone in your family that needs energy healing and and that person consciously denies it and doesn't want to hear it, stop insisting. Okay. That's the second type of soil, which is just barren. The seeds of love of energy healing are just not going to grow there. It's just dry, earth, deserty, no nutrients, no water, forget it. But there is also, and this is important, another type of soil. And now we're going to talk about the unconscious mind. So everybody in the world has the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, or the unconscious mind with all its layers. So let's just see the type of person who has conscious acceptance of energy healing and unconscious receptivity of energy healing. The unconscious mind allows it, is open to it. These are usually the spiritual people, but not necessarily. There are a lot of spiritual people who have emotional blockages, and we're going to talk about this too. So if the person has an accepting conscious mind and a receptive unconscious mind, this person skyrockets. Those are the ones who have one energy healing session and they're on the go. They're just out to go to other planets in their expansion. It's beautiful. When, however, there is conscious acceptance, I want this, but unconsciously, the person is saying no, it's called unconscious denial, then this person insists and insists and insists. And these are the people who take 10 years to take one step. They go to all energy healing sessions and opportunities, right? They read all the self-help books. It's just stays in the theory because the unconscious mind is not changing. There's a lot of blockage there. What are the blockages of the deep unconscious mind, of the unconscious mind? The deep unconscious of the family, ancestral healing is required there. It could be that. Inner child issues, the person's childhood or womb life has unconscious contents that need to be addressed in layers. It's not just something that happens overnight. That's why I tell people who are accepting of energy healing on a conscious level, but they can't have kind of a magic wand mentality, you know? Oh, it needs to work fast like that, and you as a practitioner are not doing your job. I'm going to try another practitioner, blaming the practitioner for their unconscious resistance, right? I'm so used to this. It's even, I don't want to mean to sound disrespectful, but it's just a little amusing because the resistance is right there, and that's called ego resistance. So the unconscious mind may have resistance from ancestors. It may have ancestral contents, right? It's not the ancestors that are haunting you and not allowing you to heal. It's their experiences that are imprinted in the DNA, and it's in a cellular level, and you need to address DNA with as much energy healing as you can. That's why I always suggest that people who have opportunities for energy healing to grab them and be present in constellations, to book themselves sessions, to we have now the Crystals and Chakras meditation series for that very reason. Every week you can receive energy that acts on the unconscious mind on the cellular level for your benefit. So you do that kind of work, it's going to start dissolving the debris, the resistance, right? The rocks that don't allow the soil to be perfect for the seeds of love to grow. So unconscious resistance, which it really duels, it's kind of sad actually to see. It's kind of a short circuit between the conscious mind that wants energy healing and the deep unconscious mind that has such huge resistance, right? It's the same thing with people who have chronic disease. I do believe there is a possibility for spontaneous healing. I do believe that all diseases can be healed, but sometimes the resistance is huge and you need to work on it for a longer period of time, depending on the person. So unconscious resistance comes from the manipulating, controlling ego, from the inner child, the wounded inner child, from ancestral contents that are imprinted in the DNA, and also from past life habits that we may be unaware of. Make sense? So Al is saying, I think that's me. I love it. And yes, please like this if you're on YouTube. Please like this if you're on Instagram. Let's spread the word. Let's just inspire other people to come and watch this. I would love that. Even if you're not, after this live session is over, if you're watching the recording, it's awesome that you support us just with liking and commenting, okay? So thanks. So if you're identifying yourself with one or two or three of these situations that I'm mentioning here, know that there is hope for healing. I always say this, right? There's always a path, but we need to work on ourselves. We need to do our inner work. It's one of the reasons this whole soil metaphor that I'm using is the whole reason why I decided to go back to teaching, to create courses, to empower people to do their own work, because it sometimes, no, always you're the one healing yourself. The practitioner is witnessing your process, right? In energy healing, the practitioner has a specific type of training and is familiar with protocols that are guidelines, roadmaps for the energy healing to happen. But you're the one who's doing your own healing. If you resist it, it's not going to happen. The practitioner can be the most powerful person in his or her skills, very talented, this or that. If you put a brick wall between you and the energy healing session, it's not going to work. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not. And as I said, the unconscious receptivity allows energy healing to work, but unconscious denial coming from past life habits. I'm coming from the most ingrained and remote primitive ones to the most close, the ones that are closer to the conscious mind, right? So the most remote one, the most remote unconscious blockage is past life habits, which have created resonance with your family system. That's why I tell people in constellations, stop blaming your ancestors for things. Stop thinking you're a victim of your system, because you have chosen that system by resonance, okay? The state of your soul, the moment you were born, can be seen in your birth chart. That's why we have treatments called birth chart bracelets and a carnal method. And there is also a resonance. Everything that your ancestors have done have resonance with what you have created for yourself in past life. So it's not random. You're not a victim, okay? So it could be from past lives. The unconscious resistance may be a past life habit, maybe ancestral experiences that are in your DNA, right? So it's so incredibly powerful to pinpoint which generation, why this is going on. Intuitively, in a session, we can really find out, and it's beautiful when it's ready to surface. And the other layer could be your childhood, your womb life, your first childhood up until you're 14 years old. Some people who are really sensitive, all the empaths, I always say, check your life until you're 21. Until you're 21 years old, it's like you're still a baby. It crystallizes when you're 21, okay? For those who are not empaths and not such sponges, until you're 14, 7, 14, 21, we're all sponging up stuff. So it could be your childhood and early, you know, your young life. And it could be your ego. And the ego is tricky because the ego is conscious. The ego is the competent, responsible adult when it's healthy. But when the ego is unhealthy, it's very controlling. And it is very aligned with wounds of the inner child. And it just twists everything and creates defense mechanisms that may halt the benefit of energy healing, that may just block it all off, right? So that being said, the reason why energy healing works well for some people and not for others is their levels of resistance. And their levels of resistance are what kind of soil they are, right? So I mentioned some people consciously accept energy healing, but they may unconsciously block it. But so that's why they need to maintain their energy healing practices, their energy healing, the receiving of energy healing, and not give up. Don't give up. It's like maintenance, okay? You will go to deeper layers. And I always say this, the more you work on yourself, even if it takes a while. Look, I've been on this road since I was 14 years old and I'm 41 now. It's going to be 30 years and I'm still learning and growing. My life keeps improving, but it's not, a magic wand, right? So just keep moving forward. First of all, maintaining your high vibrational frequency is like taking a shower. You shower daily. I really recommend you take care of your energy daily, right? So if you have conscious acceptance of energy healing, but deep unconscious resistance, which I only found out that I had huge blockages on the ancestral level when I was 31 years old in a family constellation. That took me forever to even book the session because I had such unconscious resistance to that. And then I became a constellation facilitator, right? So there's hope for everybody. So if you're the type of person who consciously accepts energy healing and unconsciously denies it, keep working on yourself and don't give up, okay? If you consciously deny energy healing, bye. There's nothing I can do for you. Forget it. And the people who consciously deny it and have huge unconscious resistance are usually the ones who most need energy healing. Paradoxically, ironically enough, right? It is what it is. It's there. Everybody has their rhythm. We all have the higher light and within, but people have different rhythms of knowing themselves and creating the life they were born to live. Each person has his or her own path. We don't impose healing. If there is conscious acceptance and unconscious receptivity, these people really don't need much soul healing. They can just dive into consciousness expansion and the joy of life. Because in the Cardinal Method, I always talk about soul healing if needed, consciousness expansion always, and the joy of life, right? So those who don't have blockages, and there are many people like that who live powerful, beautiful, healthy, abundant lives, they cannot dismiss consciousness expansion. Otherwise, you're going to stall in comfort zones. And we are all born to grow, expand, and contribute. So these people have more resources actually to contribute more to the world and to help people who need, the release of those blockages. And it's just a different story. But if there is conscious acceptance and unconscious denial, I didn't explain this yet, and I'm going to explain it and see. I have 2 questions here that I want to, or maybe comments that I want to address. But I want to say that unconscious denial aligned with conscious acceptance, this is another story. It's the people who scratch the surface. They kid themselves, they fool themselves, they pretend to themselves that they're doing the work, but they're really not. It's what the path work of self-transformation, which I love, calls the lazy aspect of the lower self. So these people are for show, right? They want to pretend that they're doing the work. They show up for this or that, for whatever healing it is, but they're not really doing the work. And they just scratch the surface. It's unconscious now. Don't ask me to dive deeper. I'll put my toe in the water. Don't ask me to put my foot there. you know? Those who don't want to dive deeper, they consciously accept it. They like energy healing, but they don't embrace it. And this is not a judgment. It's just the state of being of each person, right? So if you're an energy healing practitioner, pay attention to this because this has to do with your clients. If you're not, if you receive energy healing, observe yourself. This is a know thyself process, right? This is a self-connection process that we're doing here. Just kind of observe how this plays out for you, what kind of sense this is making for you. So I'm going to just see what people are asking here. So I have Black Iso saying the healer creates the energy of healing and you work on this energy and bring healing to you. Yes. So the healer, I believe the healer is you, right? The healer is the receiver of the session. The healer is the self-healing person. The energy healing practitioner, which is the term I like to use, witnesses, brings information, which is one of the reasons why I love crystals, because they're accurate information transmitters. I can say this now because I tested this. I didn't believe it in the beginning. I said, this is a beautiful Native American indigenous wisdom. I think it's beautiful. I don't believe it right off the bat. I just have to test it. And I've been testing it consistently for years. And I can just say this outright to you. With the Cardinal Method, with the 2 books that I've written, with the thousands of people I've given sessions to, crystals are accurate information transmitters. So they help the practitioner who knows the protocols and who's familiar with those tools to bring the layer of consciousness to the person receiving the healing. And then the person does his or her own healing, right? That's how I see it. That's just my opinion. And Jane, hi, love to see you here. Highly recommend investing in the birth chart bracelet. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Because as I said, the crystals are laser beam tools for consciousness expansion and soul healing. The colors heal the soul. The internal geometry aligns consciousness. And with the Cardinal Method birth chart bracelet, it's different from any kind of astrology healing. It's not orthodox at all. It's very, very different. And I'm so happy that it's making a difference for you. I love it. Thank you. Ella, is it important to know the birth time of your birth chart bracelet? Yes, accurately. Otherwise, it won't work. It's a very precise information. If you don't know yours, you need to find out. Okay, so there are ways to find out, but if you don't, maybe your birth certificate has it. We'll see about that. You need to find out to have the perfect, accurate date, time, and place of birth for this to work. So that being said, let's see what we can dive deeper into here, because there's so much to say. I want to say everything that I know is essential. I don't want to be distracting you with things that are not that important. So the types of unconscious denial. And now let's dive a little deeper into this. I did mention, the surface level of the soil. So why does energy healing not work well for some people? Unconscious denial reasons. The first that I'm going to mention are crystallized habits from adult life. That's the most superficial one. That's the controlling ego aspect. So as an adult, you, me, anyone you know, as adults, we crystallize specific mental habits, okay? We crystallize specific ways of thinking that have to do with the environments we are immersed in. It could be your family. For people who spend a lot of time with their families, this goes for most Brazilian families, right? Most Brazilian people. And I'm just clapping and saying, I have the birth chart bracelet and I highly recommend it. That's wonderful. It is powerful. It really is. So the crystallized habits of adult life are the beliefs, the discourses you acquire from the environments you are immersed in. It could be your family, if your family has a specific kind of focus, if you have a very complaining family, as an adult, right? This is just a habitual daily life kind of repetition. And whatever you repeat enough, a belief is a thought that is repeated enough times that it crystallizes itself, becomes a belief. So your controlling ego is mostly going to work with that kind of denial, right? So it could be your family that disqualifies energy healing, or one family member that you don't want to disappoint. It could be a spouse. It could be one of your children. This is more common than I thought. I was kind of mind blown actually by how much children hold their parents hostage in families, right? The child, this is my specific experience. The child is 10 years old and the child had his mother on a leash and saying, "This is fishy. This sounds weird." And the mother did not want to displease her son, and she just left the whole treatment because the child didn't approve. So these people need to understand constellations better, right? But the controlling ego is going to play with that. The ego's weapons to disqualify energy healing are disqualification. So any kind of excuse you want to find to disqualify energy healing, because if it's serious energy healing, it will address the not so pleasant wounds in the soul. That's why some people will be much more receptive to silent energy healing than to spoken energy healing. That's one of the reasons why the first course and Cardinal Method course for practitioners that I offered is the 7 techniques with crystals that are silent techniques. They're powerful in their silence. They address the deep unconscious mind. Don't engage the conscious mind, because once you start engaging the conscious mind, the ego is going to want to control the process. And the ego's greatest weapon is disqualification. It could be anything. It could be the practitioner. Disqualifying practitioners is a very common ego strategy. It could be disqualifying the system that you use. It could be disqualifying, the method, whatever. The ego is going to want to disqualify. And we get these disqualification arguments, these disqualification contents from the environments that we are immersed in. The people around us, how much they influence you. How authentic are you willing to be in your pursuit of healing the soul with energy? Right? So it could be a boss, it could be your work environment. Some people are ashamed to tell the people they work with that they love energy healing. Could be family, it could be all those things. So crystallized habits from your adult life. Myself, I'll just tell you a quick story. I've always loved nature and animals and crystals and contemplating life in silence and just taking it all in and just being happy by being alive when I was younger. But we're trained to use the rational mind much more than anything else in our culture, right? And I decided to train my brain in college and university and become an academic, which led me to embrace so many limiting beliefs that I had to dissolve them. They worked simultaneously with my spiritual life. It's like I had parallel lives, right? My professional life and my intimate spiritual life. But when they merged, when I embraced the energy healing career, my controlling ego, the habits of academia, denying energy healing, disqualifying, finding excuses, it was crazy. I gave myself a hard time. It only started really releasing this whole denial mode that I was in a couple of years ago. I think it was 2018 when I knew the Cardinal Method was strong enough to be online, to go to what we call unknown audiences, not just my clients at Renova, right? And that's the thing, I face the same thing, right? Yeah, I know your story, so it makes total sense. Just reading what you're saying. So the first type of unconscious denial, I would say, is ego control that comes from the habits of your adult life. Okay, so that's the most superficial layer of that. Another type of unconscious denial are crystallized childhood habits. The wounded inner child can be the most powerful sabotager of your adult life, okay? If it's ruling your unconscious mind, if it is the king or the queen of your unconscious mind, that wounded inner child, it's very likely you have money problems because children are afraid of money. Likely you'll have relationship problems because children don't understand interpersonal romantic relationships. That's an adult's mature energy, right? Children understand the joy of life, the playful awesomeness of existence, but the inner child may very well sabotage your finances, sabotage your personal life, your relationships. People are scared of having a family. All those kind adult life blockages are coming from a wounded inner child. Mainly in your professional life. Oh my goodness, yes. So finances, romantic life, family life, and professional life. Anything that requires you to embrace a position of authority, of maturity, of being a leader, right? An adult, the wounded inner child is going to sabotage. So this is a deeper layer. Crystallized habits from childhood may sabotage energy healing. And a lot of the inner child work that we do is silent. The inner child practice, for example, it's in the book, Your Cardinal Connections. And I highly recommend you do that at least weekly. That's what I do. I use the system that I developed with myself. So weekly, I do the inner child practice to maintain the high vibrational frequency, right? Because if we don't do that, the pull of gravity is going to bring back the prior reality that you wanted to change. So I really recommend you do the inner child practice and you don't have to know exactly what it is. That's what I love about silent healing, silent energy healing. You don't engage the conscious mind. You just surrender with your crown chakra and allow energy healing. There's a question here. If you consciously believe, and Black Eyes though, if you consciously believe in energy healing and that you can heal yourself, it is possible to discard it unconsciously when, for example, you take a painkiller for a heartache instead of energetically. This is a wonderful question. And I'm not saying we should deny the physical world, the material world in emergencies, okay? So it depends on how much you are willing. It really depends on how much you are willing to stand pain. And I don't want you to torture yourself. But what I can tell you is that the more you work with energy healing, you're going to have higher highs and higher lows. You're not going to go to the abyss as much as you used to. So if you have to take a painkiller because it just is because you love yourself and you don't want to, and nothing energetically is working, it's okay to take the painkiller. It's common sense. And then maybe book an energy healing session to see what was the resistance about that, right? That's what I believe. That's what I think would be the most reasonable thing to do. Not deny everything that the physical world can provide us, because it's matter acting on matter, right? Painkillers, surgeries, it's a horizontal connection. But sometimes if nothing else is working, you can see how much you can endure. But make sure they can walk hand in hand. But usually for people who are open to energy healing, the traditional medicines are less required. Sometimes they need smaller doses. It depends on the person. But I'm not an advocate of denying anything that will bring you more comfort in an emergency, right? The third thing that I want to say, okay, so crystallized childhood habits could be your inner child wound. And I really, really recommend all kinds of inner child work, because that could be where your boulders are, right? Not allowing your soil to be the amazing, beautiful land that the seeds of love can flourish in. So the third one would be family loyalty, which is also an inner child issue. Let me just point this out. The wounded inner child can either be sabotaging your life because of your own personal individual experiences, something you've gone through individually, it's your story, or your inner child may be in inversion mode, emotionally taking care of parents and ancestors. That's a whole other ballgame. So I recommend you watch the video 3 Principles of the Soul that we have on YouTube to get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But that's also an inner child issue. So if you do the inner child practice, you'll not only be addressing your own memories and your own personal individual life experiences, but also the inner child's unconscious attitude of being Superman or Superwoman who thinks he or she should be taking care of the family that came before him or her. So taking emotional care of parents, taking emotional care of ancestors. This is much more common than you would think. In my experience, at least, I have seen, I can easily say hundreds of people who do not want to leave the position of a caretaker for their parents. They would much rather not do much in life and not accomplish anything individually to be the caretakers of their parents. They just think that that's what they were born to do, which could be on some level, a karmic level, but I also believe you can neutralize and void your karma with energy healing. I really do. I think karma has everything to do with self-permission. So Jelaine saying that is so me. So some people are kind of seeing themselves in one or two or maybe more of these little archetypes that we've created, right? So it makes sense. So family loyalty is an inner child issue. So if you do the inner child practice, you can heal your own childhood and heal this attitude of the inner child that dedicates himself or herself to parents. So you can't emotionally dedicate yourself to your parents. If your parents are elderly and require physical care, that is not emotional care, the emotional care that I'm talking about here. There's another video on YouTube called Introduction to Family Constellations that I talk about this specifically. I give an example with Crystal, so you guys can go there too and watch that. So family inner child, what the inner child does, and this is actually, endearing, is that, and this is something that Beth Hellinger, the creator of constellations, family constellations, has said, children are born powerless and they have no wisdom. All they have is love. So they have no money, no resources to support themselves, unlike animals who are very quickly, kind of doing their own thing. Human babies are born powerless, resourceless, and they lack wisdom, but all they have is love. They are 100% love, right? And people who don't develop personal power and wisdom, which is the whole reason why we created A Course in Human Nature, which we're going to talk about this month as well. We're going to have Cardinal Method Week this month because we want to bring A Course in Human Nature for the last time. We're going to open for enrollment. So we need personal power, divine personal power, divine wisdom, and divine love. Children are born solely, exclusively with divine love in their hearts. So why do I say this is endearing? Because when a child is born in a family system, that child may be immersed in a painful system. The ancestors led unhappy lives. So these loving children are going to say, how dare I be happy if grandma wasn't happy, if my great-grandfather wasn't happy? It is, the DNA is designed in pain. So that's all the child feels and knows. So family loyalty is an inner child issue because the person wants to be immersed in this immature, blind love of the child, and they don't lead individual lives. I am telling you, this is one of the most difficult blockages to release, to dissolve with any kind of energy healing, because people are stubborn in this kind of family loyalty. They will come to thousands of constellations or maybe one and just say, I don't want to leave the state of being, right? And this has to do actually with a biological programming that I'm going to explain also in this live session. So what are the types of resistance that create boulders and don't allow the soil to be amazing? Crystallized habits from adult life. Crystallized, which is the controlling ego sabotaging your awesomeness, right? The awesome life that you're born to live. Crystallized habits from childhood. Your childhood wounds may be so active, and this has a lot to do with free will too. If you dive deep, you can release that by choosing to dissolve resentment, unconscious resentment about being bullied in childhood, or sometimes very intense traumas. It depends, right? So the other thing that I want to mention here is the third type of resistance, which is family loyalty, which is also inner child. And it has to do with ancestral unhappiness. So people don't dare break the tradition of the family, right? To be unhappy and to create a completely new reality in that family. It's easier and it feels more comfortable. It's a comfort zone to belong in that unhappy field. So it's up to the person. This is incredibly powerful. This is one of the most common types of unconscious resistance. Another one, so we're diving deeper, right? Controlling ego, your childhood, your inner child habit of family loyalty, or the past life habits. This has to do with the controlling ego too. So now we're back to the controlling ego. This is the unconscious aspect of the ego. We develop specific types of egos in our lives depending on the trajectory of our souls in past lives. So if you have that's why I love birth charts. With the Cardinal Method focus, it's the sun and the north node and the south node. So your north node is your growth. The south node is maintaining the habits that you have. You're just such a pro at that energy, right? So if in past lives you've always been, I don't know, a warrior. In this life, you're used to being a warrior. It's no challenge for you. What is a challenge for you? It's being a peacemaker. It's trying to bring equilibrium, right? It's not easy, but it's what allows you to grow. That's why I say there are no such things as bad birth charts. All birth charts are sacred and they are all what you need to grow. So I'm being very honest here. I hate cataclysmic analysis of birth charts that puts fear in people's hearts. I hate that because every single birth chart is a gift. It is sacred. And whatever it is that's bringing you whatever story is not wonderful, you can work on that, right? But past life habits make us stubborn and make us controlling and really will disqualify energy healing. So if the person doesn't have those habits that are repeated in adult life, because we kind of choose the environments in adult life that are familiar to our ego from past lives, you can have those things very deeply ingrained in your soul. And it's coming from the controlling ego that wants to just run the show. And how dare someone mess with my life and create change, even if it's for the better, right? So past life habits can be unconscious resistance as well. And the last one that I want to mention is what I call biological programming. And this has to do with the human species. It's beyond culture. A lot of the things that I've mentioned here are very cultural. They're very much our Western culture ruling our lives. But biological programming is fear of change, because in primitive times, back in prehistoric times, we are still very wired by our biological makeup, right? And anything that was different from what I knew or what I could predict could mean death. And that made sense when people lived in jungles and, I don't know, ice caves, wherever our ancestors used to live. So it made sense to fear change. And this is still present in our reptilian brain. And we have an immune system that is very, very old and that is wonderfully equipped with all the amazing cells, immune cells, that will truly protect us from so many diseases, right? We inherit these from our mothers and fathers and from our ancestors. We have such beautiful, rich, powerful, complex biological bodies, right? But our immune systems may be triggered. Specific cells in the immune system, the macrophage cells, they are triggered by fear. So if they feel that an energy healing practitioner is interfering with the known world of that energy field of the person receiving the healing, the immune system will energetically shut off. So that's biological programming that creates resistance. This is shared by, this is just a guess. I'm not saying this is a statistically, is not backed by statistics. This is just my subjective guess. I would say that maybe 80% of the world's population is resistant to energy healing for this reason, because of biological programming, fear of change, any kind of change. The immune system just acts up and doesn't allow the healing. So people book sessions and then they hang up the phone and then they cancel it, right? Or they postpone booking the session, or they postpone paying in advance for the session. Those little sabotaging, postponing, all kinds of postponing what you want have to do with this biological wiring. Okay? So there's Ronald saying the three principles of the soul link. I can't give that link to you right now, I don't think. I'm not sure if I can do this. It's called Three Principles of the Soul. Okay? It's on YouTube, Paula Renova channel. Three Principles of the Soul. It's very easy to find it. And not because you can't stand the pain, but most out of habit. Yes. So out of habit, we can for sure do that. So Jelaine is saying, ready to break free. I love it. So this is wonderful. And courses of rebirthing can help to drop all that. I can't speak for that because I'm not familiar with that modality. I know it exists and a lot of people have experienced it, but I don't recommend anything that I haven't gone through. And I can't help you with that. Okay. It's not a modality I'm familiar with. I have not had that experience. But maybe people here who have had that experience could chip in and help. All right. So that being said, how can we create change to wrap this up? Knowing all this, how can we create change? First and foremost, intention. Set your intention. We always have choices. I love the fact that we can go to sleep and wake up every day, and every day can be a new life for you. You can wake up the next day and change your whole life forever by making a decision. So set the intention that you want to grow, that you want to change, that you want the awesomeness of life. Just set that intention and go for it. The second thing you can do is to load up your brain with high quality theory about energy healing and the soul, because the more informed you are, the more qualified your brain will be. And if you can start, I don't want to say tricking the unconscious mind, because that's a different story. That's hypnosis, which is wonderful too. I'm not saying that exactly. I'm talking about the conscious mind right now. So consciously set the intention. Number two, consciously seek out high quality theory about energy healing and the soul. Okay? Read aspects, experts, and this is the whole reason why I created the Course in Human Nature. Course in Human Nature is the brain aspect of the Cardinal Method. It is what boosts your brain power regarding your existence, not just regarding theory, general human nature theory, but you knowing yourself and your own story. So start sharpening your mind, get high quality theory, and embrace that and live that. It's applied philosophy. It's not just, theoretical energy that is just floating around. It's things that you apply. Okay, so that's the third step, practice. Set the intention, seek high quality theory, practice. In the Cardinal Method, we have self-healing practices, do-it-yourself practices. In the two books, Your Cardinal Connections and The Cardinal Method of Life Connection, there are tons of videos on YouTube, right, that you can just binge on and start practicing the flow. And we have a Crystals and Chakras meditation series that you can greatly benefit from. I really want to give you all the resources that I gave myself for my own self-healing with the materials that we put out there. And the results that people are getting are incredible. So set the intention, pack up on the theory, high quality theory, practice, be diligent with it. You take a shower every day. You have your meals every day, right? It is imperative that you take care of your energy field. If you're here listening to this live session, watching this, you know that you need to take care of your energy. So practice. And there are two more things that I want to say. Change your mindset and change your attitude. This is going to come from this flow that I have mentioned. Intention, theory, practice. It will lead to a change of mindset. But if you don't have the intention and you don't follow through, it's just going to be kind of useless. It's like putting your little toe in the water, but not diving in, right? A lot of people are binging on the theory and they're doing a lot of the practices, but they keep repeating the same old habits. They don't catch themselves. That maybe they have a habit of screaming when they get impatient, right? A habit of being rude to whoever's talking to them. Start watching out for that. Change your habits and change your mindset. The habit of complaining and worrying. That's like next week's live session. This month of November, we're going to have another live session next week on November 17th in English on a Tuesday, because on Wednesdays we have Cardinal Method Practitioner mentorship. And it's going to be about the energy of worry and the habits that undermine a happy life, the mental habits. So you have a choice about what you think. You can either wake up and choose the thoughts of negativity. I hate this person. I hate Mondays. I have to go to the bank. Oh, I hate doing this. I hate doing that. Or you can wake up and say, thank you for my life. Thank you for this beautiful bed. Thank you for the breakfast that I'm going to get. And thank you for my job and the money in the bank and the opportunities. You can choose your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your habits. You really can if you set the intention. Right? So change your mindset and change your attitude. That's going to make you, that's going to help create fertile soil for energy healing. Because I'm telling you, energy healing is not long lasting. The results are, feeble when the soil is not well cultivated, and that's on you. Right? Don't blame the practitioner. Don't blame the method. Don't blame the book that you read. It's on you. You create your soil with intention, with high quality theory, with diligent practice, with a change of mindset and a change of attitude. And last but not least, persistence and maintenance. I do not know one person that was fulfilled and living life in his or her own terms that was not diligent, persistent in maintaining that. So it's like muscles, right? If you build muscle and you're going to think your body's going to be there like that forever, you need to do that daily or weekly, whatever it is your routine is for your muscles to be in that vibration, right? So this is what I wanted to bring to you tonight. Let's see if we have some more questions before we go. And as I said, we are going to launch A Course in Human Nature for the last time this month. So stay tuned for that. Next week, we're going to have a live session about worry, the energy of worry. And I really, really want you to be beautiful, fertile soil, not just for energy healing, but for life to flourish in your path, right? So that's why we do all of this. So Jane, grateful for you to choose to move from academic work to teaching from the heart and soul work. It was a necessary step, but I couldn't stay there, right? It was part of the staircase. Never give up. Yes, supervise, hope, and be optimistic. Thanks for the reminder. Beautiful. What is the number one top practice potentially making the greatest change? 80 to 20 rule. Yeah, it depends on the person, right? But we have the Crystals and Chakras meditation series. You can go to our website. I can type this now. PaulaRenova.com. It has all the information there. And the book, Your Cardinal Connections, is a great start. Start with that one, then move on to the Cardinal Method of Life Connection, which is larger, a little deeper. Not equally as powerful. The two books are equally powerful. They're just different in their languages and the layers of consciousness they're addressing. The Cardinal Method of Life Connection is a more brainy book. Your Cardinal Connections is a more hands-on practice book. So I would suggest those, okay? And stay tuned for A Course in Human Nature coming soon. Like this video. Thank you for liking this and liking this on Instagram, liking this on YouTube. And I will for sure send you all the information for our next live session next week. I'm so excited about that because worry seems to be the greatest underminer of a happy life, and it's so useless. I can't wait to talk about that next week. And we're in for Cardinal Method Week, which is amazing. We always have Cardinal Method Week when we launch a course, when we open for enrollment. So this one's going to be about wisdom, divine love, and divine power, which is the last pillar of A Course in Human Nature. We have divine wisdom. We had that in 2019. Divine love, we had that in 2020, was the last piece of that this past November 4th. And we're going to start the Divine Power Pillar on December 2nd. It's going to be the last time we're going to take in new students for this course. And I really highly recommend you take it. I cannot describe how powerful it is. It's a monthly live session, and each time you go through one of the live sessions and do the Know Thyself exercises, it's literally like having a Cardinal Method session every month. It's powerful, and it's a group energy, and it's just beautiful and amazing. Okay? Thank you, beautiful people, for being here. I can't wait to see you soon again. Check out the videos on YouTube. If you have any questions, just let us know. Go to our website. We have an email there. We have contacts for you to text us. You can DM me on Instagram and send whatever questions you have. You can comment on the YouTube video. All right? And I'll see you guys soon. Much love. See you soon. Thank you for your presences. Love you all. Bye-bye.